Hello, my name is Desmond Lynch. I'm 26 years old and I'm a filmmaker. This is a special behind-the-scenes audio commentary episode on the production of my short film, SHOWTIME. In this episode, I'm interviewing dialogue editor and sound mixer Justinas Kuprys. Justinas was the dialogue editor for SHOWTIME, as well as some of my other short films such as Goodnight Midnight and Trespass. Without further ado, let's begin. Hello, my name is Desmond Lynch. I'm 26 years old and I'm a filmmaker. Today I am interviewing a special guest, and that leads me to my first question. Who are you and what do you do?
Hey, so my name is Justinas Kuprys, or Justin if you're pronouncing it and you don't speak Lithuanian, for the love of God, please. I suppose I'm an audio engineer. Film mixer is what I tend to be, but I wear a lot of hats because I did my bachelor's in multimedia and I have a master's degree in sound engineering for music, so I do a lot of things. Yeah, that's the main things. I just work on films from time to time. I record sounds. I make sounds. Sounds good.
Make sounds sound good. You heard it here first, folks. That actually leads me to So I was thinking back to like when we first met. I think we met via some Zoom networking event, which is like kind of crazy because we're very friendly now. And it's kind of weird, like those Zoom networking things actually work, because oftentimes they don't. But yeah, that's partially how that's mainly how we met, and then we got friendly over the years. Especially, I got really friendly with you very quickly because I did sound for a short film back in my final year at uni, and I did such a dog shit job recording it, in my opinion. And like when I was like going to edit and clean it up, I was just like pulling my hair out. They got to the point where like I was like doing all-nighters in the kitchen, just like, editing, and like my flatmates were coming in for work and they're just yelling at me for like Des, this is unhealthy, you need to stop, you need to fix yourself. And I was like, yeah, I know. And it happened every day, so it was a daily occurrence. It was like, fuck up, like what are you doing with your life? And I was like, yeah, I know. And then like in between that, I was like, I was talking to you because you were still in Dublin, Dublin University or
DCU, yeah.
DCU, yes. You're in DCU, and I was just like sending you back and forth stuff. I was like, is this fixable? Is it fixable? And you're like, no. And like, and you show,
like me.
Yeah, you're showing me like stuff and like, okay, you could do this, and I was like, trying my best to clean up the stuff, and I got it to an okay level, to the point where it was better than what it was when it started, but still, like, not my proudest moment. That was like a trial by fire for me, and that kind of like led me on to like take the sound recording process a lot more seriously, and gain an appreciation for post sound as well. Doing post sound for that, and then I also edited The Witch in the Orchard, and then I did the sound edit for SHOWTIME, and you did the actual sound edit, which is like cleaning up after my mess.
I wouldn't call it that messy much. It was fine.
You see how strange his voice is, people? That's what they call in Lithuania a joke.
Yeah. No, I remember that early project you were working on. I remember chatting to you well about it. You were right. I told you a lot of things that you could have done. The problem with sound is there's no like clear cut answer. You either know what you're doing because you've done it a million times, or it doesn't make any sense at all and it all looks like black magic. That's kind of the problem with sound, and why I need 2 degrees in order to understand what I'm doing, unfortunately. But at least I'm employed, so it's not that bad. So yeah, I remember giving you advice to like normalize all the audio files in that film, and I did not know at the time that like there is a specific target way to hit loudness in film. I still feel bad about that. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, so like whenever I first had a screening at the QUB, I think like the sound was just like way too loud. It was like piercing, or like I think I almost went deaf after like walking out the theater. But like I think that's something called like LKFMS or something like that, or
LUFS or LKFS, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, because like
that was my bad.
yeah, because that's like that's how we edited Showtime as well. We edited like we did various sound mixes. So we did one for digital. So if you're listening on a laptop, you're listening to the digital mix of Showtime. If you're listening in a cinema, you have a cinema mix. And we have those mixes with various copies, like from like the lowest video quality to like the highest video quality, in both the cinema mix and the digital mix. And I think for Showtime it was just like normal stereo, but for, like for stuff like Trespass and like other projects, we went like overboard and done surround sound type of thing.
Excuse me, that's overboard? We didn't do it in Atmos.
Oh yeah, that's true. We didn't dare do it in Atmos. God help us if we did it in Atmos.
Oh no, to be fair, like Atmos's minimum spec is like 12 speakers or something, and I have 6.
Yeah, well, like you're halfway there, like, to be honest. So there it is. And I think yeah, like another like we because like our relationship was largely online. We only met in Killarney for the first time like a year and a half ago when Showtime was playing at the Kerry International Film Festival. And I remember like we met outside the place that was screening. And I remember like we were chatting away and you're like, shit. And I was like, what's the matter? It's like I brought beer with me, like beer I specifically brewed so we could drink together. And like you brought it all the way from Dublin, and you fucking left it on a train when you got off in Kerry.
Yeah, I felt bad, and it was a good bottle too. It was like a year's vintage as well, so it fermented really well. It was one of my best brews.
That was like, what was it? It was like 10% as well, wasn't it? 10% alcohol.
No. So there's a way to measure alcohol content, and we've only started doing it now because I started producing like high percentage beers. But before, I don't know what the percentage is. You drink it, you tell me. What do you think it is? Just take a guess. Tell me your number. I don't care. It could be 12%, it could be 5%, it could be 2%. I don't know. It's beer. Does it taste like beer? Does it taste good? Yeah.
No. Any beer is a good beer.
Oh, yeah. Well, I've had a lot of bad beers. I don't know. I've had a lot of bad beers.
Yeah, you should have seen him in Killarney when we went to pubs. He was like, like just like took a step, like, ugh, no. And like
I'll drink anything.
You drink anything. Yeah, it's like me. It's like, oh, I hate this, and keep drinking. But yeah, but that's a funny moment between me and you. I think the funniest by a mile is there's a line in the film Showtime for those who haven't watched it. If you haven't watched it, I don't know why you haven't. There's a line in which Camilla, the main character, is talking about people in a house raid, and she says something along the line of, and I quote, "It's full of Romanians or Bulgarians or I don't know, one of those countries. They're all the same." Like, and the character is like a bit of a wee bit racist, like just a smidge, and like because that's like what people like people I've known say stuff like that, but like put that in the film because that's real to life. I forgot Justinas was Lithuanian, and I forgot to warn him about that line. So remember I sent you the film, and you came back and you're like, dude, what the fuck? And I was like, what? I was like, that fucking line, like, what the fuck's that about? I was like, no, like I didn't say it, she said it. I was like,
oh no, I thought it so funny. Yeah. I just found it so funny because I'm just watching this movie and it's like going along and I'm just listening to all the beats. It's like, yeah. Economic hardship and brothels and all that. And, this is good. What? What did she say about Eastern Europe? Excuse me? Like, Lithuania gets confused with Russia half the time, or at least it used to. And I'm just here like, yeah, there's no difference between all these countries. Yeah, they're all the same.
Yeah, Lithuania catching strays in Showtime.
To be fair. Now, we're far away from Romania and Bulgaria, so like, fair enough, I guess. But just the proximity of being Eastern European, at some point, you just have to say like, that's I mean, we say that. Well, we definitely say that. We definitely say we're all basically the same, or we all hate each other, as you do,
Yeah, so I remember like
in
in
loving ways.
yeah, I remember like in Killarney though, like you were like, like I was like looking at you as soon as that scene came up, and you were just like cringing, just like, oh, I hate this guy.
In my head, I was like, like I don't know, I don't know what it is, but she like said it with some bitterness in her tone. And I'm just there like, I don't know about that, Chief. I don't know about that. But I always found it funny. I always found it funny at the end.
Yeah, because I was always worried about that with the script. I was always worried like people would be hesitant to work on it because like she said some wild shit. Like she said
Yeah,
some wild things, and I was worried like
yeah.
people would like read it and be thinking like this is weird and fucked up. I don't want to work on this, and I'm like I can't say like like I can't say well it's character study. So kind of like Taxi Driver. You know what I'm saying? It's I'm not weird, but no, but yeah. I think that was I think back at that when I think of Showtime. I think that's the funniest thing like ever. But yeah. Anyway, back to the matter at hand. My next question. What made you interested in coming on board for Showtime?
I'll be honest, it's quite a lot of things. Some of them personal, some of them a little bit less personal. For me, the main thing was I don't have a lot of experience as a film sound engineer doing post production, re-recording, mixing, and all that, and sound editing, dialogue editing. I'm happy to take on the work. That's just my own personal perspective. But at the end of the day, it was a really, really fun film to work on. It was well recorded. The sound in it is so good. Like the intro sequence is some of the best like sound that I've gotten to make because a lot of films tend to be really boring in terms of sound. A lot of people just don't get how to make sound interesting. And I'm left there, sound editing and just figuring out like, okay, well, if I add this like riser effect, it'll sound more interesting. Like, no mixer wants to be sitting around and doing that. I didn't have to do that because you put together the sound edit and it was great. It was fantastic. Organization aside. But it was really good because you had like this whole scene going on in the background and going on outside with the police. You had, I believe you described it at some point as like the world's shittiest music being played. It's like the shittiest techno you could possibly produce.
Yeah, because we had a composer on, Alex Concar, and he made that song, and like we
Yeah.
went through like dozens of drafts, and I was like, no, Alex, this is too good. I mean, like it has to be dog shit, like just
Yes.
like grade A dog shit, like just. And I was like trying to capture a mood. I was trying to capture a specific moment in my life where, like, I'm at work at 3 a.m. I'm cleaning up, and my coworker is playing some like really like nasty Frenchcore at max volume on the speakers, and I'm like, I'm so tired. I just want to go to bed. I don't want to do this. So it's that feeling I wanted to encapsulate, and like we had to go through a lot of drafts to get that vibe.
Yeah, I remember listening to some of them and you asking me for my feedback, and I was just like, I don't know what you want me to tell you, man.
It's terrible. It's terrible, but
Yeah,
it's not.
I mean, it's bad.
It's bad, but it's not so bad where like I am driven to insanity. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you were always driving behind the scenes like we need it to be worse. Like this has this has too much like intelligence and thought put into it. Like it needs to be uninspired, flavorless, bland, repetitive. You're putting creativity into this. Stop doing that.
Yeah, it's like a lot of that music is like written for people on ketamine by people on ketamine. If you know what I'm saying?
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's one way to describe it. All right.
that's
That's,
true.
that's definitely one way to describe it. But yeah, the sound for that was incredible. And another thing that I got to work on, which I really enjoyed, was working with like low sound in the background. So there's not a lot going on in a lot of the scenes, background wise. There's a lot of silence. And silence kind of gives you this tension that people don't appreciate, or at least they used to not appreciate. Because I remember growing up in the 2000s, and God, every fucking film would have classical music or like a classical orchestra, wall to wall music, every goddamn moment. And I just want some silence. And I finally got to make it. I'm just, though it was a challenge. It wasn't that easy to get. Because, like, the problem with having silence is you need to have something to tie it together and move it forward. It needs to have some kind of action there to keep it interesting, because otherwise it just becomes boring. It needs to have something happening. Otherwise it's not tense. It's just empty, which you don't want. And trying to balance the mix and get it so, like, the background noise is high enough and the actions are loud enough that they can be interesting was a difficulty. But again, thanks to your amazing sound edit, that wasn't too much of an issue. Your sound edits are always great, man. I just wish they were organized better.
Well, I did get, like, I remember, like, the recent one I got, like there's, like, you know, like your organization was, like, fantastic. However, like, your notes you gave me were, like, so condescending. I have to, like, talk shit to you now, and I was like,
yeah, no, I remember that.
yeah, because I remember, like my entire thing was, like, very politely going, can you just make it sound like I want it to sound? Like, I was like,
yeah, look.
I was like, I don't know. I think I was just tired or some shit. I was just being a bitch. But, like, yeah.
I think you told me you were like, it was at 2 a.m. and I was just reading this because I had a hard day that day myself, and I was just there like, I don't need to deal with this right now, man. Come on, you can tell me what you want. You know I'm gonna make it. Sound is a hard thing to communicate. We don't get taught language for sound very well. It's really difficult to communicate unless you have, like, a scientific background in sound, which most people thankfully don't. Because, like, you're describing things as bright, as dark, as low, as high. Like, what the fuck does all that mean? You know what I mean? It means real things to real people. I remember somebody describing reverb, which is a very normal process thing for me, as audio blur. Like, what the fuck does that mean? So audio definitely has some kind of a communication issue. So I don't blame you for that one.
Yeah, you could write a glossary someday about all the words you could use.
Jesus Christ. No, it would be never ending. You'd have to write an entire sound encyclopedia. I don't have the time for that.
That's fair.
Eventually, you just grow an internal filter that just, like, translates bullshit to sound. Just from dealing with enough people and dealing with it enough ways.
Yeah, that leads me to my next question. How did you approach the sound design for Showtime, and were there any challenges?
You know the answer to this one. What the biggest challenge was.
Oh yeah, like, yeah. It was. I blanked for a minute. I was like, "What was the biggest challenge?" I was like, "Oh yeah, it's me."
No, actually, no.
No, I mean, like, my organizational skills. I had to fucking move. Yeah, put it all into. Oh no, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, okay.
It was the fact. Okay, so, I work in Reaper, and Reaper is a very particular demon. It's not really built for film, unfortunately, but it's super versatile, so I don't care. It works. It does everything I need it to, and then some. I don't work in, like, Pro Tools because, like, I have a €200 license, and I don't want to blow €1,000 a year for what I can use as the same thing. So we had some issues translating it from Audition to Reaper. So I had to do it in Audition. And this taught me to absolutely fucking hate Audition! And I still use it at work, just because it has a really good, like, analyzer feature and a really good single audio track editor, but it is so bad at everything else. Jesus Christ. It would chug. My computer's good at performance. I can run way more complicated mixes in Reaper, no problem. Audition would just chug because it can. There were individual effects on different item clips. So, like, every time you have a little sound, you had, like, a gain. a game plugin on it, and then I had to go in and just figure out, like, create a mental map of what the fuck was going on. But in the end, we got there, and that's what matters. It was a lot of effort just to get audition working on my side, but eventually we got there. Um, Biggest challenges besides that, though, kind of getting the silence dialed in, getting the right vibe. Once I got a nice, clean, neutral dialogue, it started coming together pretty well. It started sounding pretty good. Trying to get like the silence to not be too loud, not too overbearing, but not too empty as well. I had to change a couple of things in the background ambience, but it wasn't too bad. But for the fun stuff, man, the intro music in the
Like outside or
awful
inside? All it in the
outside and inside.
yeah.
Um, what I did to that was I have this plugin called Trash 2, and I basically dumped a load of saturation on it and just got it to sound really deep. So all of the bass in it is just like pumping 20 dB higher, and it's so loud. And when I was playing it on my nice Genelec speakers, it just pumped and like the entire house shook. And I was like, yeah, that's what I'm after. Oh, it was good. But beyond that, like, a lot of it was just trying to set levels, to be honest. Because, like, basic stuff is the main thing I do when I'm mixing. It's just, like, making sure everything's at the right level and it sounds correct. Had to add some reverbs to mix in some sound effects. I know you have a sound library that you use that I deeply dislike because every time I go near it, I have to, like, remix it and add in reverb to make it sound like it's
Well, I
fake.
think like I had like I changed sound libraries. I think that they're all kind of getting bad now, especially my new one.
Mm-hmm.
My current one, which I'll not name, is just like I think it merged with a different another company, and like the website just become like terrible to use, and it's just really awkward, especially when I'm making my audio drama stuff. So it's becoming needlessly hassle. But yeah, that brings me to like the sound edit stuff. So like like what I basically did, I gave you like I'll say like a foundation. I gave you like a lot to like work with, and use polish it for a moment. Like my main thing was like I was talking to Mercer about this. Like when I was like talking to him about the edit, I was like telling him, remember like it's not gonna make sense now because there's no audio, but there's gonna be like a sound beat there. There's gonna be music there. There's gonna be something happening there, and he's like, okay, like I'll try to remember that. But at the moment, it's very quiet days. I was like, yep, I know that. It's not gonna be quiet for long, and like I think yeah, like the main thing was just like the delicate balance. Obviously the main focus was making sure like everyone could hear the dialogue, and that the dialogue was clean, and like even if you weren't from here, like because I know like the accent can be a bit difficult to say if you're from America or you're like just even England. Like some people just like have difficulty understanding the accent. So and that doesn't help. Like some films aren't mixed correctly. Like a lot of films I have to watch on subtitles just because it's just so quiet, and then it goes to the ads, and the ads are like unbearably loud, and it's like how.
Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, like I always I always preface I don't want anyone to put subtitles on for this unless they can't speak English. I want everything to be clean, precise, and like the diction to be perfect, so they don't have to rewind to hear back what anyone saw or what anyone heard. That is, that was my main focus, and it was balancing that with the chaos that was happening throughout the film. Because like obviously due to the money, you couldn't actually show a police raid. We did want to get like actual like police raid cosplayers to like show up as that stuff, but it was like too expensive. Like it was like not feasible, especially only for like one shot. It was just wasn't worth it. So yeah, like the entire thing had to be told via audio, and I remember like planning out the sound edit for that. So I had to plan out, because it could have easily just been like a bunch of weird stuff happening, and like that's not a good idea. You have to have like a plan. You have to have like cause and effect. It's like this sound is this, and that sound causes this, and they do this, and that sounds the way it does. So it's like you're not just like throwing stuff together. It's just like, it's all like you're editing sound. It's like, oh, this thing's happening outside, and this is like what's happening outside. If that makes sense.
Yeah. Going back to the point on keeping dialogue clean, that's something unfortunately that has kind of like fallen back in the last 5 years, I'd say. Um, there's a big political discussion about it because technology's better, so we can like have more mumbles or whatever, and directors like, yeah, that's fine. But it is really disappointing when you have to turn on subtitles because even when I'm watching stuff, because I'm watching on the same rig that I edit on, just so I know what the acoustics are for like a good film versus what I would make. When I have to reach for listening to subtitles because somebody's mumbling or they don't say something clearly, it is so disappointing and so disheartening. You know what I mean? A lot of the time, like, yeah, you can make the argument that, like, well, some people just don't have good speakers to listen on, but I do. When I'm listening to something and it's not clear what they're saying, I'm concerned. And it's not usually down to the mixer, to be honest, unfortunately. It is sometimes just down to like the director just saying like, yeah, but that's fine. It's like, somebody needs to step in and say like, no, it kind of isn't.
Yeah, it's like if I can't understand like what that actor is saying, like it's a problem. And there is like there's a difference between like talking lowly and mumbling. Like I remember like I saw this interview of an actor and he's talking about like it's that guy from Smallville who played Lex Luthor. And he was like talking about he was talking about working with this one actor on a scene, and like he remember like being on like doing the scene film, and he's like being very quiet, where he's like sir, the asteroid's coming over here, and like, on the scene he's like kind of looking at him, he's like shaking his head like trying to react, and he's like, I don't hear what this guy's saying at all. I don't know what he's doing. And then like when you watch the episode, the audio is clean and it's been like amplified up to fuck, so it sounds super bassy. He's like, sir, the asteroid's coming right here. So it sounds epic, but on a day it sounds like I can't fucking hear what he's saying at all. That's a problem. Like if you want to sound bassy, you have to speak softly for some reason.
Yeah, not necessarily. You can fudge it a little bit. You can make the effect happen if you know how. You just have to know the tricks.
Justinas doesn't know the tricks, by the way. If he gave the implication he knows the tricks, he doesn't.
Oh, come on! No, I know how to do it. It's not too bad. But I won't comment on like actors' performance. I don't know actors well enough. But I will say this: for this film, for Showtime, Mercer did an incredible job recording the film.
Yeah, it was Mateo and Mercer. Don't forget Mateo.
Yeah, I knew I was forgetting somebody. I'm so sorry. I love Mateo. He's such a
so Mateo was like
clever film.
Yeah, Mateo was the. Oh, you're gonna love his interview. Trust me. But like, he Mateo was the sound recordist. Mercer was the boom up, and also Mercer was the editor. That is.
Yes. I actually see Mateo every once in a while in the post production forums, and I just always see his name pop up. And I'm like, there's our guy. What a good man. But yeah, no, they did an incredible job recording the film. So working with the dialogue, keeping it clean, was incredibly easy. There was barely any background noise to speak of. After I cleaned it, like it was basically zero. So you could do whatever you wanted with it. It was super moldable. And just keeping it clean and audible. I remember we had discussions between you and I of like how audible the background should be for the police. And I wanted to be a bit more audible so that, you can kind of hear more of what's going on. But at the same time, you were making the argument that like it kind of detracts from the main vocal. And I think you were right in that.
It was like dialogue and stuff like tone. Or like if I wanted it quiet, it had to be quiet. Even though like in reality, it wouldn't make sense. In the film, thematically, it would amplify like, a feeling that I was trying to capture.
Yeah, exactly. And it really works. I love the mix in the end. I think it works fantastic. So I'm really proud of that. I'm really happy with the work that we did. I remember actually, while we're here, how we started off mixing, which was, I'm pretty sure you came to me one day, you were like on the sound edit, and you were like, all right, well, how do I get this to work? and I tried to explain to you how to do everything, and I was trying to explain it to you in like the most concrete way that I could possibly do, with enough depth that you could do it yourself, and you were just like, man, that sounds way too complicated. I know you're busy, but do you want to do it for me? I was like, yeah, of course. I'm not opposed to that. I'd love to. I'd only done one film properly, like one proper short film before that. I'd done a lot of editing work back in college, but a lot of it was just like for video and stuff. So I was very happy to try it on, and it was an absolute pleasure.
Yeah, I remember like you came on board and you were like you're very happy just because like the sound was like not objectively bad.
Yeah, I've been used to working with okay, I went through college, right? We had no money, no budget, no time, nothing. Everything was terrible. I got really good at working with bad audio before I got good at working with good audio. So there was so little work I had to put into this. I didn't have to like rack overnight, just like fixing every minute fucking detail like I had to with some project. So it was just fun, honestly. It was a great time.
That's good to hear. And that leads to my final question. What advice in regards to sound design and sound editing would you give your former self?
To my former self? Oh, sweet mother of God! I don't know how to answer that. There's no legitimate answer to it. I have a lot of thoughts on like advice I would give in general. But like, the thing about sound editing and sound mixing is that every year you do it, you listen back to a project you did last year and you're like, that shit sucked. And at the time it was like, that was one of the most amazing things I ever made. Like, in the moment you're like, this sounds so good. Oh my God, I'm such a good mixer. And then like you listen back to it a year later and you're smarter. You've learned all these new skills. Your ears are better. And he's just like, man, this sucks. So I don't know. I honestly don't know. I haven't listened to projects from last year. But like, sound advice is a really hard one for that reason. I'm not sure what I would tell you. Or at least tell myself. For general advice, like, I always like to say, if you're writing a film, you put sound in the script. If you don't put sound in the script, the sound is going to suck. Simple as. Because a lot of people don't consider how sound is going to work in the film. Like, how sound can craft the film, can craft the vibe, has to be done in pre-production. You don't do it on the day of production. And by God, you don't do it in post-production. Because post-production is not going to have... I mean, we can do a lot. We can do a hell of a lot. But you're not going to be able to change the film to suit a particular vibe if that's not already in place in production. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like I remember like we'll talk. I'll talk to you about films. Of like, man, I watched this film and like the sound was like off. Like everything was like was all. They had like scenes where like dialogue was off axes and all that stuff. And like I'll send you the IMDb and you're like, oh yeah. So and you check out. I was like, holy shit, they had like 6 dialogue editors on this one movie.
I remember that. Well, it's like I don't know. Like that's either a very good sign that they had it really quick and they turned it around and tried to get it done very quickly, or like they had a lot of problems.
Yeah, it's kind of like for like those not in the mix, I'd say like would it be like 6 dialogue editors on one movie is like having like 6 mechanics on one car?
Not necessarily. Like you can have 2 or 3, and I think that makes sense as a number because you don't need to have too many. So long as they know what they're doing, like most films tend to keep it at like 1 or 2. If it's a big budget movie, like maybe you'll have a 3rd or a 4th. But 6? I don't know. I mean, like, fair enough. They stayed employed. That's good. Can't argue with that.
Yeah, but yeah, back to the point. Yeah, I think like especially like you need to consult your post production people during pre production because like it helps for like production stuff. It also can save you a lot of money because they might be able to give you some insights. Like you could shoot this, but like you might ultimately cut it, and you could like get the same effect by just inputting a sound effect here or something like that. And like that saves you like a day, trying to get a one shot like you'll never use. So Yeah, stuff like that's good. And like, they did that for Dune. Your boy whatever his name is.
Dennis Ville something or other, I'm afraid.
Such a Philistine. But yeah, no, he consulted his like sound post sound team during pre-production, and that's like why their films sound fantastic.
Yeah, the same was true of Blade Runner 2049, which he also directed.
Yeah.
Sound happened from the very get go. It was part of the film, and you feel it throughout. Like I had to rewatch it recently in 5.1. My God, gorgeous mix, like start to finish. What advice I would give for directors? I'll tell you this much: try to have something weird happen to the sound. Don't just do everything conventional. Like it's okay to do a little bit of David Lynchian stuff. David Lynchian stuff is fascinating. Like everyone loves David Lynch. Rest in peace. He made incredible sound. And what I find a lot of the time when I'm working with short films is that everyone tries to do the conventional thing because they don't understand sound. Like, hey, yeah, talk to your postman. If your postman knows what he's doing, he's going to give you some good ideas. If he can read the script, he's going to be able to tell you, like, okay, well, we could do this. We could do that. I think this would sound good. And add them into the creative process. It just makes everything work better overall because you're never going to have all the skills and all the knowledge. You don't want to end up like me, knowing like every frequency band intimately and losing your mind when you hear the oddest slight thing out of place. Like, you don't need to do that. Find someone else to do that for you. Your mental health will thank you at the end of the day.
100%. And I'd say like one last bit of advice you should give your former self: don't forget the beers on the train.
Why do you gotta do me like that, man? Come
I know it's the ending. Gotta go out on a laugh. And yeah.
Whoever found that bottle, they were having a great night.
Yeah. Okay. Well, Justinas, we're running out of time, so I just want to say thanks so much for coming on board. Thanks so much for working on Showtime, and thanks so much in general. Hope to see you someday soon.
Right on, Des. We shall catch up soon, I hope. And it's been an absolute pleasure, man, and I hope you have a wonderful evening, all right?
You too. Well, that was my interview with Justinas. I hope you all enjoyed it. This is the final episode of the cast and crew interviews. There is also a breakdown episode detailing everything regarding the production of the film from pre-production to post-production. There will also be a director's commentary episode of the short itself. Stay tuned. Thank you all for listening, and goodbye.